Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. It's great to be with you. As you can tell, I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Shannon, and the Raiders sitting. Shannon, been a rough year. And I got to tell you, Raider Nation has reached out. Lots of questions, lots of emails, lots of perception. I think that's a good word. Would you agree? So let me just ask you, what's your thoughts on the state of the Raiders?
I'm a sad fan, but that's okay. Every year we say there's always next year.
Okay, but tell me what is your thought on the Raiders?
I'm sad. I guess I don't. What is my thought? My thought right now is I'm sad. I think they should be doing a lot better than they are doing, but I also understand we have a lot of young people and young people make young mistakes and I was very, very sad.
Here's the deal. I don't mind young players making young player mistakes, but when experienced people do,
Yeah.
that's where the problem rests. I think that is a fair way of assessing it. All right, let's get going. We got a lot of questions
We
and
do.
we got a lot to do today. So,
I wasn't super happy about the trade, but I get it.
well, but that's from a
That's a personal
that is
standpoint.
that is Shannon going to miss our friend.
I get it.
And
But
I I would have
I
been.
can't take that out.
No, you can't. And this is why that's why you're a bit different than
Most
most
fans.
fans because you know people. But neither one of us had a problem with the trade if the Raiders didn't want him. It just certainly would have been a more beneficial trade had it happened in the offseason rather than now. But
Right, right, right.
that's
That's neither
he's no
here nor
longer a
there.
Raider. Let's go. I shouldn't have asked you. Let's go.
Uncle Hondo, where do I even begin? As a lifelong Raider fan, I'm so frustrated by the offensive play calling week after week. It doesn't even make sense to me. And while I don't want to be critical of either Chip Kelly or Pete Carroll, what we're being told just doesn't make sense. There's no running game, no targets to Brock, a quarterback sneak on a third and two. There's no play action after it was successful at the start of the game, so on and so on and so on. If it's obvious to me what play they're going to run, it has to be even more obvious to the other team. Being a Raider fan is like having an alcoholic father. You love him because he's your dad, but he keeps showing up to your little league games intoxicated. Please help me make sense of all this. Thank you so much for your honesty, even when it hurts. Sincerely, Tony in LA.
So I want to go back and address a couple of things. First of all, Tony in LA, and before I go to the next question, make sure I tell everybody how they can get their questions answered. Um, there's a lot here that doesn't make sense to me. I can tell you there's a lot here that doesn't make sense to people around the NFL. She can tell you phone calls that I get that you get to hear because it's on Bluetooth
All the
or
time.
and I got nothing. So I agree with that. At the same time, again, I mentioned this before. I had no problem with the QB sneak on 3rd and 2 because the play calling to that point had been pretty good. And I thought maybe they saw something. I didn't like the execution of it. I, I've discussed all that ad nauseum. But when I went back and watched it, it was
Brutal.
brutal. And so I get it. There is something here that's disconnected. And and there's just I get it and I understand it. This is why you hear me talk about when you get a new coach, you give them 21 games before you start the critical process because it allows them to go through a year, decide, okay, what staff works, what staff doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's normal. And I talked about all that. So I'm through every new coach. So I have no problem with it. And maybe look at, okay, this player didn't work. We're going to go draft some different players, going to bring in some new guys. But I agree, there's a lot right now on the offensive side that doesn't make any sense. There's nothing really on the defensive side, although I want everyone to remember this because there'll be some things I talk about in the offseason on the defense that I'm not going to talk about now because it doesn't matter right now. But there will be some things I talk about from a defensive point. in the offseason. But the biggest disconnect with this team was special teams, which they fired Tom McMahon, and the offense. There's just so many questions. It's just, I said this word before, some of it's nonsensical. And so I agree. I know right where you're at. By the way, let me just tell everybody, if you have a question you want us to email, there are a couple things. You're only allowed to email once every 7 days, once per email address. If you email more than that, it gets labeled spam and automatically gets kicked out. Just automatically gets swept away. Spartan Nation Mail, MAIL at yahoo.com. Put in the subject line Raiders Q&A. Get those questions into us. One per week. Remember, we're not looking for opinion. Opinions don't get answered. And keep them short, because if they're too long, we get so many. Our staff that handles the questions can't read them all. So if it's too long, it just gets deleted. So please keep it short, keep it pithy, and you got to use your name. And you need to put your name on it. It doesn't matter if you agree with me or disagree. We don't care. Don't mind being called out. But please make sure you do that. Let's keep going. We want to speed up today.
All right. Boom. Uncle Hondo calls out something had to change in special teams, and McMahon is gone. The voice of Uncle carried weight. Now, would you fire anyone else? Carrie B. in Henderson, Nevada.
Well, I don't think Tom McMahon got fired because of my voice. I think it was evident something had to change. Would I fire anyone else? Okay, that's a great question. So let me say this to you. Based upon the information that I have at this moment, I would not fire anyone else. However, if I was in the position that I could fire, there would be more information that I had that I would tell you I probably would be firing someone else. So
that's fair.
So would Hondo fire anyone else right now? No, because there's still some information I'm lacking, which is ignorant. Ignorance means lacking knowledge. Doesn't mean stupid, it means ignorant. But if I was in a position I could fire people, I wouldn't be ignorant. So yeah, I probably would.
Just don't have a name for you. Hey, Hondo.
Strong idea, just not.
There you go. Hey, Hondo. There seems to be a philosophical difference between Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly in the roster that doesn't seem to be getting ironed out. I am operating under the assumption. We laugh when we talk about assumption.
Because assumption means making an ass of you and me. Keep going.
That Pete wouldn't take a job that didn't allow him to choose his staff. That begs the question of why he would hire an OC that operates a shotgun-based offense when he's looking to have a zone or run play action offense. Why didn't he hire someone from the Mike Shanahan tree, where that is the foundation of their system? Being under center with boot roll out play action would maximize Geno IMO. Do you see Pete moving on from Chip in the offseason for someone more in line with his vision? Thank you for your work as always. Chris R., Baltimore, Maryland.
All right. So let me say this. I love the Mike Shanahan offense. It is my favorite offense. I love the bootleg. I love running the football. I love throwing the football. And I like using the run to set up the pass. Okay. I agree with everything you just said. As far as loving that offense. Do I see Pete moving on from Chip Kelly? I think that's too early of an assessment for me to make. I would agree there seems to be an appearance of philosophical differences. However, when you ask Pete about it, he doesn't imply that. I put the videos up. You guys get to watch. I don't think Chip's out there thinking, ooh, I want Pete to fail. I'm gonna be frank with you. I like Pete and I like Chip. I like them both. I don't have an issue. And I'm not, and you would know because because you know who I don't like and do like. But there is a philosophical disconnect. Mm-hmm. And I think if everybody doesn't get on the same page, you got to do something to fix it. whoever or however you do that.
Mhm.
That's a Tom Brady and a Mark Davis decision. It's not a Hondo Carpenter decision. So I'm just telling you that is the appearances are there. I like both guys. I don't think either guy is setting out with a mission or an ambition to hurt the other. But we know this: two people can't walk together unless they be in agreement. Amos 3:3. And we know that reliable communication permits progress. Proverbs tells us. So there's a disconnect, and you're now going into week 11.
Agreed.
Next.
Hondo, you mentioned before the season to keep your eyes on Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback at Indiana, before anyone was talking about him. You also mentioned before anyone else about Raiders' interest. Now it seems like everyone is all over it because of how he plays. Can you explain how you knew that? I would love another Hispanic quarterback to lead us to glory. Arturo R. from the Bay, baby.
Arturo. I used to coach in youth football a young kid by the name of Arturo. And man, I like that kid. So I like you already just because your name. Well, how do I know it? Don't you say a word.
I would.
She knows exactly.
Mom.
Okay.
I don't say anything.
I'll just say this. When you've done this a long time, you'll learn things. You'll learn things. And there you go. I think Mendoza, you're right. I did say before the year when someone asked me, what quarterback do I like the most? I didn't even mention Mendoza among the top quarterbacks available because that's what people were talking about. And someone said, but which one do you like? When I said Mendoza, people mocked me. Now he's playing great, and everyone's like, this is the best quarterback in class. Thank you for noticing that, Arturo. I like you even more. But yeah, credit the Raiders who liked him. And we're looking at him before anyone else. But still a long way to go. Still got to get to know the kid and through the combine process. But I like that kid a lot. So how do I know? Because I'm a good listener. It isn't because I'm smart. I think I can watch film and get an idea in a kid, but it's because I'm also a good listener. And if you want to be successful in anything in life, you got to be a good listener. All right, next.
Hondo, is there either an unspoken rule regarding what questions can be asked, or even a spoken and accepted set of rules? If so, are the rules the same for the players, coordinators, and head coach? I ask this because while I do see the press asking some tough questions, it seems like they won't go too real hard, holding them to the fire. Really more so with the head coach, Mark Judge from Washington.
So, Mark, I appreciate this question. I think it's a great question. I think it's fundamentally completely fair, and I have no problem with you asking it. Couple of things. So, several years ago in a practice, there was a new media guy who had just started covering the Raiders, and the Raiders were working on a trick play. And the coach comes in for his post-game press conference, and he not only asks about the trick play, he gives away details of the trick play. Boom, booted out, never allowed back in. We are not allowed to talk about anything schematic until they either show it on the field or discuss it. So let me put it in a term that you would understand. If you made a lasagna but hadn't served it to the family or anyone else, and I just saw you working on the recipe, I'm not allowed to publicly talk about your lasagna till you serve it in public. Okay. That allows the coaches to work on plays and concepts. That's why you saw me in the offseason talk to you about a lot of things we saw with Chip Kelly and said, can't talk to you about it right now because those are because of the access we get. There are certain things we can't talk about, but it's schematic. Okay. There's no list of questions you can't say to a coach, gee, this didn't work. Now, I would tell you there's what I call the rule of humanity. You can disagree with people without being disagreeable. Mm-hmm. Okay, now fans, they want you to get up there, you mother effing piece of effing blanking effing stupid effing you effing. Well, I don't talk to people that way.
We get emails to prove that.
Yeah, but yet I can literally say to a coach, highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. You went and traded for the quarterback that you paid $60 million to, that you wanted, selected 6th overall running back, and your offense is worse than last year. Now, it's the same question, but one is fact-based, not attacking him. And so you may say, oh, it wasn't tough enough. What do you mean it wasn't tough enough? I just literally pointed out everything you do to get better, and you're worse. It's just not a personal attack.
Yeah, you give a personal attack, and then they're not going to give you. You lose respect.
Well, first of all, let me just switch around. If I was a coach and somebody made it personal, I wouldn't answer your question.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me give you a quick one. I don't read the comments, thanks to Zeke, on our videos, because some people just make it personal. And we have staff that go through. I don't read them. And if somebody attacks us, so I was told the other day, because I had someone bring it up to me and I didn't know anything about it. So I asked a person that works for us. Evidently, a couple, I don't know if it was in the last month or 2 months, you had appeared on one of our YouTube, one of our podcasts, and somebody made some comments about your appearance. And someone was apologizing to me about how someone had said some really rude things about Shannon's appearance. And I asked someone, I said, find that comment for me. I want to read it. And they go, oh, we deleted that and just don't let the person comment on our stuff anymore. Oh, because they made it personal. Okay. And so you can ask, and you have an obligation as a media member. Now let's go a step farther. There are times that we know things that we have been shared with off the record.
Right. Oh, yeah.
How much?
A lot.
Okay. So and I'm going to make this up. If I knew that you had a hairline fracture in your throwing hand and you were the Raiders quarterback, but I also knew it wasn't going to get worse, according to the doctors, and I also knew they didn't have confidence in your backup, and the fans are like, this quarterback's a piece of crap. He's horrible. He's lost his ability. You need to call that guy out. And I know he's got a broken hand, but I've been told it off the record. Not asking about it. Why? Because I'm not going to put a coach in a position, and I'm not going to put you guys in a position where you're getting lied to. I've said to you before, learn not only what I say,
but what he doesn't say.
Speak up, they can't hear you.
But what he doesn't say.
But what I don't say. Okay, you know what? I appreciate when a coach talks to me off the record. I had a long conversation with a coach last week, within the last week, off the record. A lot of good stuff I can't share with you, but it will shape my reporting. Now, you may say, well, then you shouldn't talk to anyone off the record. You can't do this job. How do you think you know you don't find out about Mendoza?
Exactly.
Okay, and so, no, I didn't. I mean, I already said, you listen. But I'm not going to, I mean, my point to you is, okay, I covered the Big Ten for decades. I got people at every Big Ten school. And guess what? Some of them have left and gone to other schools. And you've got people that you covered. There's guys I covered who were players that are now coaches. And so I owe it to you to never present information to you that's wrong. And I understand why fans are angry and they want some answers. Okay, so let's go with the disconnect that there appears to be between Pete and Chip. I am not in any way lying to you. I do not believe either man is purposely trying to reflect poorly on the other. And I can tell you that because I've talked to both privately in conversations that I'm not going to tell you about, and have never, ever one time witnessed or heard anything to make me think of disrespect between the two men. Now, there are some things that I've been told by others that I have a sneaking suspicion are correct. but I have not been able to yet confirm.
Mm.
So I'm not going to present it.
Right.
And when I think I can confirm it, or I think I could say to you, okay, here's what I think is going on. I've heard it a couple times. I haven't been able to fully confirm it, but this is what I would do that. But when you sit in my chair, I owe it to Mark Davis, Tom Brady, John Spytek, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, everyone in that organization, because people know I'm in the inside. I owe it to them to not just spread wanton things. You know, I have had people in the organization get mad at me at things I reported. Okay. I'm not God. Stand by it. I had an incident earlier this year where someone said, probably should change your Rolodex. That source was wrong. Okay. And I went to the source and said, I was told I should take you out of my Rolodex. And they laughed and shared something else. Well, how about reporting this? I'm like, no, I'm not trying to get in the middle of a spat. But you have an obligation. There are a lot of people out there that'll throw every rumor up against the wall. And if 1 out of 10 sticks to the wall, they'll say, I called it. Well, my endeavor is to be 10 of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know what? Sometimes people are going to hear a rumor and run with it and be right 1 out of 10 times. But my goal is to be right 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. And that's, I hope that answers your question. There you go. But one more quick one. And I don't want to use a Raider, but I'm going to use another example. Okay. Years ago, I'm covering another team, and one of the players, the star player, is injured and not going to play that weekend. And I found out about it because I am in a restaurant, and I walk out of and it was a Cracker Barrel, and I'm in the restaurant shopping in the store part of the restaurant, and I'm shopping there. Little boy walks up to me. Hi, Hondo, how are you? And I'm so great. And it happened to be one of the assistant coach's kids. And I know them because you get to know their families. And the kid's probably 15. And he goes, and I'm going to make a player name up. Let's just call him Noah, because we have a son, Noah. Man, what'd you think about Noah getting hurt, not being able to play this weekend? It stinks, doesn't it? I said, that would certainly stink if that would happen. So now I have this information. So I went to the head coach. I said, I have been told that Noah, and that wasn't the player's name, is injured and not playing this weekend. Would you like to confirm it? I didn't ask it at a press conference, because once you ask at a press conference, it's public. And the coach looked at me and he said, Hondo, I have no idea how you found that out. He goes, and I'm not going to lie to you. He goes, first thing he said is, are we off the record? I said, yes. He goes, I don't know how you found it out. I'm not going to ask you, because you find stuff out. He goes, but you are going to hurt this team if you report that, because their other team is not going to prepare for him all week.
Yep.
And you're going to hurt us. He said, so I'm going to ask you for a favor. I'll let you break the story. Can you break it 2 hours before the game, before we come on the field? So before anyone knows, you'll break it first. He goes, because you'll hurt my team. And I said to the coach, absolutely, no problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. And in case you're wondering why I would use the coach's kid, it's because the coach had actually had the kid give me information before. And so I didn't know in this case, is the kid supposed to, but I mean, they didn't know I was going to be at Cracker Barrel. That's why I went to the coach.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so anyways, I hope I'm answering you correctly. It's not that, I'm going to say this to you. I don't even know the comment made, but someone went and made a nasty, horrible comment about my wife. I guarantee if you knew her, you wouldn't have made that comment about my wife. But they're able to do it because they don't know him and because they sit behind a keyboard and they think they're tough. Well, I know Pete Carroll. I know his wife. I know Chip. I know these players. I know the people that work inside the building. Do you know there isn't one person that works for the Raiders I don't like? Not one. Not one of them. And not one. They're genuinely good people. And that's not always been the case. There's been some people that
For sure.
with the Raiders I didn't like. There's not one I don't like. And so I'm not going to go attack people and cuss them out. I'm going to be respectful. I mean, I've asked Chip about his offense being worse. I've asked Pete about the disconnect. You're equating tough questions with the verbiage. A tough question has nothing to do with verbiage. And I think we ask a lot of tough ones. I just don't think we ask them the way some fans want them asked because they're angry and you're asking from a place of anger. I'm not a fan. I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry. There's a difference. I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
All right.
But do you think that if you're a fan, was that a good answer or no?
I think it was great.
Okay.
It was a good example. Hondo, I agree that this franchise needs stability, but I have heard the word nonsensical come out of your mouth so many times this year and this podcast. That when it comes to decision making, with the Raiders looking to draft a franchise quarterback, why should Mark Davis trust those making all the nonsensical decisions right now with that task? What says you? Thanks, Cody Staley, Ada, Ohio.
First of all, Cody, if I'm Mark Davis, I wouldn't tolerate any nonsensical decisions. Why do you think I've said on multiple podcasts, if I'm Mark Davis, I'm calling a meeting tomorrow and I'm telling Tom Brady, John Spytek, Pete Carroll, you're going to be in the meeting, and this is what I want to know. Why am I paying for this offense and I'm not getting it? Why am I paying for a Ruth Chris steak and I'm not even getting a hamburger patty off the dollar menu? I'm going to get to the nonsensical, find it, fix it, and correct it. That's fair. You need stability. And you don't have stability in the presence of the nonsensical. If I'm Mark, the nonsensical is driving me through the roof right now. I'm livid right now. And I want answers right now. And then I want to know what's in the way. Whatever is prophylactically hindering my franchise, I want it fixed right now. And I don't care who it is I got to fire. If I'm Mark Davis, if I got to get rid of Tom, if I got to get rid of Spytek, I got to get rid of. I don't care. I want harmony. I don't think anybody's out trying to hurt anybody. But we're headed into week 11 and we're still saying nonsensical. That in itself is nonsensical.
Exactly.
So I hope that makes sense. I don't want stability for the sake of stability. I want stability nonsensically.
There you go.
Next.
Hondo, I had to email and share a laugh with you. 2 years ago in the NFL draft, you and Drew Stanton were talking about Bo Nix, and he was not impressed. And you were not either as an early round pick. Last year, when everyone was last year when everyone was laughing at you, you held your ground and said, let's see it over a test of time. You never wavered, even listening to you before the season and last week here in Denver on the radio. Now everyone wants him fired. I love the conviction. You aren't moved by criticism, and that's why I love you. I am a Raider Nation for life. Peter P. Mile High Raider.
Oh, Mile High Raider. First of all, I appreciate that. And you're right. I got a lot of people laugh at me last week on Denver radio and in the offseason when I said I'm still not sold. Let me say this. Bo Nix is one of the nicest kids in the world. And if Bo Nix married one of our daughters, and let's say he wasn't a millionaire pro football player, if he was the lumber manager at Home Depot, we would be thrilled if he married Sandra or Marissa or whatever. Obviously, Marissa's our daughter who passed away, but I'm just our other daughter's Sage is married, so I'm not gonna. My point to you is he is a great kid, and he's a very good quarterback at what he does well. And I keep saying that because everyone, oh, Carpenter trash. I'm not trashing Bo Nix. Sean Payton, who I don't really care for, is a great coach. I don't really care for Sean, but he's a great coach. And he did a great job last year of only asking Bo to do what Bo could do. The problem is you don't win championships when only what you can do is very limited. So teams take that away. And you got to have a little bit more arrows in your quiver than one. And Bo doesn't. And so now you're saying everyone wants to get rid of him up in Denver. Okay, well, that was my point all along. Let's go back. I really like Trevor Lawrence. Okay. Everyone got mad when the Niners paid, I wouldn't pay Brock Purdy that kind of money. Well, Purdy's one more than Trevor, but nobody cared when Trevor got $250 million because of where he got picked. Everyone had a problem with Purdy because of where he got picked. I don't care about any of that. I just care about what your resume say you can do. Right, and so my whole deal with Bo is not personal. I love the kid. I genuinely the kid is a phenomenal kid. He's just not that. And so I'm going to stick to my conviction. It's just like when I'm wrong on stuff, what do? I come to you guys and say, yeah, I was completely wrong. I blew it. And I know exactly where I was wrong on this team this year. And I'll address it in the offseason. No need to address it now. Not necessary. I own it. I don't go back and change things. I don't go back and do revisionist history. That's not integrous. Some people make statements and then they just go back and never address it. Like I laugh at the people who hated Colton Miller. Again, no, I have no problem with it. Thank you for noticing. Let's keep going.
Hello, Hondo. I really enjoy your podcast. It helps me get over the losses, and I love your honesty. My question is, now that the Raiders are 2-7 and clearly need to rebuild, not to age discrimination, but it's an extremely hard sell to Raider Nation that you can start a rebuild with a 74-year-old coach. A typical rebuild is 3 years. Will Coach Carroll be able to maintain his energy and commitment? It seems far-fetched to me. By the time the team is ready to compete for a playoff, Coach Carroll would be 77. And that gives off a vibe of zero hope. What is your opinion on this? Thank you, Bruce Richards.
Bruce, great question. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a doctor and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I'm going to tell you that I have zero concerns about Pete's energy. Okay. I have zero concerns about Pete's acumen. My concerns with the Raiders are addressing the nonsensical and getting the entire thing. I'm going to talk about this in great detail in the offseason. I'm just going to leave it right there. And if I'm the Raiders and I look at every coach I brought in who's failed and everyone that wants to get fired, I am going to, you have to make a firm, if you are not 100% Pete Carroll is your guy, why would you have brought him in here? My dad, who was a very good businessman, taught his sons this and grooming us to be business people. My dad had lots of employees. And he said, every time I have to fire someone, I feel like I failed. Not they failed, I failed. Because the hiring process is so critical in a successful entity. And so you believed in Pete. So let Pete then chart the course. I said charge. And so, no, if the Raiders get behind Pete, I have zero question. And if I'm Mark Davis, I'm calling everybody in saying Pete is our. What are you laughing at?
Because it always boils down to if I was Mark Davis, I'm calling a
Well,
meeting.
because the point
It's
is
so true. but
Hondo's
it's so
opinion.
true.
Yeah, Hondo's opinion doesn't matter.
I know.
If
And-
I am Mark Davis,
Mhm.
I am calling in saying Pete is our true north.
Yes.
Pete, give me the plan,
Yes.
and then you guys go help Pete.
Yep.
Not you guys do what you think. You guys do what Pete wants done. And if it doesn't work, we're going to hold Pete accountable. But again, I have to be careful here.
It makes sense that it's nonsensical because it is nonsensical.
Yeah. But I'm just telling you, I have zero concerns about Pete.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, these players don't have concerns with Pete. She heard a conversation with one that called to check on me the other day. And did he sound like anybody that didn't believe in Pete?
No.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
Hondo, in your many decades of covering football, that makes you sound old.
I am old, Shannon. Look at all the gray hair.
I still love you.
I know you do.
I remember first following your coverage when I saw you on Mike and Mike.
Oh,
Now, thanks for showing my husband's age.
I'm really old now.
And they are laughing at you for being the only reporter insisting Tim Tebow would be a first rounder.
Yeah.
Is there any one ingredient that good coaches or GMs have that you've seen? I know that they are all different. So is there any similarity? Keith V in Houston. That's a super good question.
Yes, there are a couple things that they all have in common. Number one, the best general managers absolutely know what they don't know.
Oh, that's good.
Now, you have a blind spot because all of us have gifts. The Bible says that God's given us all gifts. And one of the problem is to get to a high level in the National Football League or a high level at anything, you have to have strong gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the problems is when you're highly successful, you have a tendency to think you know it all. Look how far I've gotten. And so what I would say to you is the best general managers know exactly what they don't know. So let me give you an example. I have a general manager that is a very good friend of Shannon and I's that is a terrific skill position evaluator. If I told you who he was, you would all know who he is. He's very famous. He has picked some of the greatest skill players in NFL history. And he'll tell you he's not real good at picking linemen. In fact, we were at dinner once and she heard an entire conversation and she said to me when we got in the car, "Wow, you got to be happy." I said, "Yeah, I miss him." She goes, "That's not what I meant." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "All you guys did was talk about offensive linemen the entire night." Okay, why? I think that I'm gifted when it comes to evaluating linemen and understanding offensive and defensive linemen. Okay. And so they know what their strengths are, but they're not arrogant. They don't have tunnel vision. See, what happens is you can become so convinced this guy's great that you never see his faults. And so you have to be able to evaluate. So let me give you an example. Shannon and I have a friend who's a general manager in the National Football League who is very loyal to his college.
Mm-hmm.
Very loyal. Well, that school's arch rival, he hates them. And one time I mentioned to him, a draft was coming. You going to pick this guy? I don't want to.
Oh.
But there's a backstory here. He did not want to. In fact, he was pretty graphic on what he would rather do than pick this particular. Okay, a good general manager. Hey, I love my alma mater. I don't like our rivals, but I don't care. This is about my team right now getting better. And I just think the best ones know how to listen.
That's hilarious. I'm sorry. That was a really good example. And I'm still laughing at that.
But they know how to listen. And they understand I got to listen to my scouts. I've got to
Mhm.
hire good scouts.
That I trust. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I've always laughed every year, like that Tim Tebow story. How did I get that? Because I got it from two different teams that told me if Tim Tebow is there in the first round, I'm picking him. And I said, and one of them that picked first said, the only way I won't pick Tebow is if this guy's there. And the second one said, it doesn't matter who's there. We're taking Tebow. So I was able to stick with that. And you say, well, why would they talk to you? It's silly season. They're going to lie to you. Okay. There are a lot who do. But when you build relationships.
Exactly. They trust you.
Okay. So I'll give you an example. There was a very good friend of ours last year before the draft that said, hey, what are you hearing about the Raiders picking so and so? And I said to him, you know, I'm not going to tell you what I'm hearing from inside the building. It would not be fair to the Raiders. And I said, and I wouldn't call you and take what you share with me and give it to the Raiders either, because we have a personal friendship. So some of these people, you trust them, you go on vacation with them, you know their families, you go to their kids' weddings or graduation open. I mean, and so you understand who can I listen to, and you have a small circle. Then there are some who will call me, like one guy called me whose team does not need a quarterback. Hey, just thought I'd tell you, I'm hearing a lot of interest on the Raiders in Mendoza. Just giving it to you because you cover the team. Thanks. Appreciate that. And there'll be times I'll say to people, hey, what are you hearing about XYZ team?
Yeah.
And so it's the best general managers they understand how to build a scouting staff, and they listen to people. They listen. They don't say, no, this is my guy. I'm going to tell you a quick story. DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I'm trying to make sure I'm saying it right. DeBrickashaw Ferguson. All right. So, Burger Bar. New York Jets offensive tackle DeBrickashaw. So, oh, never mind. When Brick was coming up, a lot of people liked him a lot, and they should have. He was a great player. And there was a guy who wanted to get a rumor started about him. So he would drop. And the rumor didn't go anywhere because it wasn't truthful. And afterwards, he's like, hey, I'm sorry I gave you that, but we were trying to hope he would fall. So I never listened to that guy again. If you're going to start a rumor to hurt a kid and cost him money,
yeah, that's not okay.
That's not okay. So I don't go flippantly throwing out rumors. Now, there's a group of people, I would say about 15 men, maybe 20, 15, who if they call me and say, hey, we're not taking this kid for this reason, I believe them. Or there are guys that I can call and say, I'm hearing this rumor. How about you? Yeah, we're hearing it, but we're not finding it. Then there was guys that'd be like, yeah, he's not on our board. We're hearing it and we've substantiated it. So then I'll talk about, yeah, there's some concerns with this kid. And so it's just the best general managers, they know how to listen. They know how to hire people. And so one other quick thing. Picking a quarterback is an art. And 95 to 99% of NFL people don't know how to pick a quarterback. And it's not just the ability to play it. So you just can't trust Tom Brady to pick a quarterback. He's going to have to prove he knows how to pick a quarterback. And he's new at it, so he hasn't had that chance. Follow me for a minute. There are some general managers who keep picking bad quarterbacks. And their owners keep letting them. Rather than going and finding. He mentioned Drew Stanton. There are really good franchises that when they pick quarterbacks, they hire Drew Stanton to help them evaluate quarterbacks because the GM admits hey, I don't know everything I need to know. And Drew has a great track record of picking quarterbacks.
Mhm.
And so it's putting your ego, it's just like with marriage. It's putting aside your ego and saying, there are gifts that Shannon has, I don't. So I don't need to be this macho man. If my wife has a gift, I'm going to let her operate in her gift. We have a friend that we're friends, a couple we're really close with, and I'm not going to name her name, but she cannot cook. She is a terrible cook, and I love her dearly. He's a cook. He loves to cook. He's good at it. He cooks all the meals, all of them. Well, that's a bad one. Who says the wife has to cook all the meals? He's good at it. He enjoys it. He comes home from work. He loves to cook for her. Who cares? Set your ego at the door. The best general managers are egoless.
Mm.
I mean, Bill Polian is one of the greatest general managers in NFL history. I love Bill Polian. And he has zero temperature for BS, but is great at listening.
Mm.
Don't BS him, but he's a great listener and he knows exactly what he doesn't know. And it's why he's been so good. All right, let's keep going.
All right, Hondo, as this season goes along, I have less and less confidence in Pete. He's going to play Geno come hell or high water. Compete doesn't pertain to Geno. He can look bad and still play. Also, we aren't using Bowers or Genty enough in my eyes. Kenny M.
It's not really a question, is it?
I guess not.
All right, next.
Hi, Hondo. My name is Ren, and I'm 11. I'm an 11-year-old girl who lives in Collinsville. I love the Raiders. My dad has always been a Raiders fan. He's the reason why I like the Raiders so much. Currently, I am a cheerleader, and I hope when I'm older, I can become a Raiderette. I love how you deal with haters. You always kill them with kindness. You also have a beautiful family. I have one younger brother, and he is also a Raiders fan. Thank you for all that you do. Please keep up your amazing content. Oh, that was very nice.
That's from Ren.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, Ren. Thank you so much. We love to hear from kids. I bet she'll be the best Raider in history. There's so many awesome ones. So, Ren, sounds like you have a wonderful, wonderful family. You keep rooting for those Raiders. Enjoy every minute you get with Dad watching your team. And I look forward to one day seeing you as a Raiderette. Make sure you say hi to me. I look forward to seeing you there, Ren. Keep up the good work.
Uncle Hondo and Brother in Christ. I bet I know who this one's from. I believe Ashton Jeanty is underutilized due to poor run block consistency. I believe Chip isn't calling run plays for this O line as they miss a lot of blocks. Also, there were more checkdowns to Ashton in the passing game against the Jags. I'm okay with fewer runs if Ashton is on the receiving end of a lot of checkdowns and screens. He needs more touches, but I don't believe Chip will call more runs. Chip calls very few running back screens. Do you think we will see Chip call more running back screens in Denver due to Denver's playoff caliber pass rush? In him, Kevin Clark was not who I thought. We have somebody else who starts their emails like that.
Well, first of all, let me say this was obviously a pre-Denver. I don't
Mhm.
know how that got in. I apologize. So you would hope so. Next.
Hi, Hando. I agree with your assessment that Max should be shut down for the rest of the season. With the effort he gives, the double teams he faces, and that he rarely leaves the game, do you think the Raiders not resting Max more will shorten his brilliant career? Terry L. in Corpus Christi.
We can hope not. I think shutting him down would extend his career. And I think playing him certainly risks it. Look at JPJ.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope not.
I hadn't read this one, but I just read this one ahead. This is a comment, and I believe that we should read it. Hondo, I love your work, but I have an issue with you. When JPJ got hurt, you asked fans to pray for him. Some of us aren't religious, and I wish you would stop. Molly B. in Berkeley, California. I'm not religious either. So
I'm not
you.
religious, sir. or either, Molly, but I appreciate you giving your opinion, and we'll be praying for you. Next.
Uncle Hondo, can I have your expert opinion on why we're playing out of a shotgun so much? Why are we not feeding number 6 pick Deuce more? It's driving us crazy. Raider Nation for Life is a way of life. Kind regards from your friends from Wales, Lear and Natalie. P.S. We love you and Shannon together on the podcast.
I love Shannon anywhere we get to be together. Yeah, I don't understand all the shotgun. I mean, look at Denver. Look look at what he did under center. I got nothing. I wish I did.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to have.
Hopefully, we're believing for it.
No, I think I'm gonna have more information I can share in the off season.
Oh, for sure. You'll get it. Yeah.
But I got nothing. Let's go.
Dear Hondo, maybe I'm giving Chip too much leeway, but since this is the kind of play calling that keeps happening, it makes more sense to me that it's actually what Pete wants. Otherwise, why else would it keep happening? Is there actually a disconnect between Pete and Chip, or is this pass heavy, shotgun oriented offense what Pete really wants? Don't they go over the first few drives and talk through the game plan? I really like Pete and I'm glad we brought him in. I'm just honestly not sure what's going on, other than thinking that if my boss were to tell me, even though I have a lot of professional freedom, that he wanted my work to move in a certain direction and it repeatedly didn't, it just seems like that it would be oppositional defiance. I can't bring myself to think that's what's going on here between two coaches with storied resumes. James Orr in Fresno, California.
Okay, so let's address this one head on because I think that guy's question was head on.
Oh yeah.
I mentioned earlier I do not get the vibe from either man, privately or publicly, that there is a I'm trying to sabotage you, but there is a disconnect. And what I would say to you is they've got to get everybody on the same page. There is a saying that my dad taught us. Everything rises and falls on
Leadership.
And so if we're into week 11 and things are still not making sense, that's why Mark has to call everybody in and say, I am the big dog.
Mm-hmm.
I am the boss. If I'm Mark Davis and I'm using his voice, Tom, appreciate you. You're a minority owner. John, good guy. Appreciate you, but you're the general manager. Pete, love you. Appreciate you. Respect you. You've done a lot in this game, but you're the coach. Chip, love you. Appreciate you. Respect you. Paying you $6 million a year, but you're the coordinator. Mm-hmm. I want it fixed now. So the next time we have to have a meeting, somebody getting fired, maybe a couple of you. Let's party. Next.
The first 3 games, it seemed like we had a good game plans, but mistakes cost us. And since then, we seem discombobulated, like not running Genty against KC. Is it possible the coaching staff realized they weren't ready to compete this year, decided not to put a lot of wear and tear on Genty this year, among other things, with the side effect of a high draft pick for a quarterback? Chip said he adjusts to what the players do best. And after game 3, it seems he's trying to do what players are not good at. Thank you, Doug H. in Colorado.
I'm going to say something here. It's going to be very unpopular. Thank God I don't read the comments because this is going to give me a lot of you're fat, you're stupid, you're dumb. I thought the first half game plan in Denver was fantastic.
Yeah, he told me that because I texted him complaining.
So let me just say something. I wasn't going to say anything, but we're in Denver and Shannon sends me this long.
It wasn't that long. It was just a few words.
Okay, well, what are my texts?
Yes or no, but I don't ask yes or no questions.
Right. And so I just said to her, babe, I love you. You're a fan. I'll talk to you after the game, but you're wrong. Something like that. I thought, especially the first half. So no, they're game planning. I questioned some of the game planning. but they're game planning. Let's go.
You want to know what the comments are going to be? I agree with your wife on this one.
Yeah, I know.
Sucks. Hondo, I appreciate your coverage.
But let me just say this to you, okay? Chip Kelly didn't get the penalties that Jack Besh and Dante Thornton got. Chip Kelly didn't make Dante Thornton drop a pass. Chip Kelly didn't make Ashton Genty take the ball and go up in the air and get it intercepted. That's not even on Geno.
But did they win the game?
I know. See, you Raider fans just win, baby. But they were asking me specifically about the game plan, and my point was all of those things were working till players made mistakes.
I'm just saying it sucked.
Okay.
I'm with y'all. Hondo, I appreciate your coverage and willingness to ask tough questions, like about using Geno Smith under center, and you noted your response to Coach Carroll's words. One could also ask about changing Ashton's stance. When Vinny asked about playing Meredith, Parham, and JPJ in the positions they performed better in last year, and you heard Pete Carroll's reaction, do these not all point to Chip Kelly's arrogance and suggests that he has a scheme? JP Timko.
Okay. JP, I want to address something right here, and you need to hear me. I was very open when the Raiders were considering hiring Chip Kelly to be their offensive coordinator under Antonio Pierce, that about his arrogance.
Mhm.
Okay.
Remember this.
Then he goes to Ohio State, and I have a ton of connections to Ohio State. Literally a ton.
Mhm.
I may have, well, that's not true, but if I had a top 15 colleges where I have sources, it is Ohio State is 1B. Okay. Tons of them, top to bottom in that organization. And he impressed those people and really demonstrated a humble heart.
Mm.
And so I said to you when he came, I was not for it when he left UCLA, but I was totally for it now because what I had heard, and that's what I believe has held him back, had been corrected. I have seen nothing from Chip Kelly since he's been here that demonstrates arrogance.
Mm.
So I am not going to participate in that. I'm not going to participate in that because it's not factual.
Mm.
Okay. And I've actually had people in the organization say to me, you know, I really appreciated how you addressed, because we were kind of nervous about his arrogance, but when you talked about what people at Ohio State said, and I've had people say to me when I've defended Chip on that in the last month, you know, I was watching your podcast and I haven't seen anything from him arrogant either. So I prefer the Mike Shanahan offense. Is that arrogant? No. So if he has a preference, that's not arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't seen it. And if I saw it, I would say if I saw arrogance, I would call it out, because I remember saying that about Luke Getsy, that it came off arrogant. I don't know that Luke is.
Mm-hmm.
I said it came off that way. But I just haven't seen that. I've seen nonsensical things, but I haven't seen arrogance. And again, I'm close enough to the situation. If it were arrogance, I would know.
Mm-hmm.
I know enough people that would tell me. And that's just not. Is there some frustration? Yes. Mm-hmm. Is there? There is. But it's not arrogance. So there you go. You don't have to believe me. You can say I'm taking on water for the team. That's just not truthful. And
you don't BS though when you
no.
you
I think there is a clear problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a symptom that has plagued this franchise for several years. And I'm going to address it in the offseason. And I think it's only one thing, one person can fix it.
We all know who that is.
Mark Davis.
The one who wears pants.
Yep. And I don't think it's Mark's arrogance in the least bit. I'm going to tell you, I've said this multiple times, and I could care less if you believe me. And you know this privately. There is nothing about Mark I don't like.
Yep.
He is a the most unassuming billionaire you've ever met in your life. But I think there's one thing Mark has to do with this franchise. And I think it reared its head this year again. It's reared its head in the past. And I will address it this offseason when I talk about where this season went wrong. And I don't think it's anything that's not fixable.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's anything, but I think there is only one man that can fix it. I do not think Tom Brady can fix it. I do not think Pete Carroll can fix it. I don't think John Spytek can fix it. I think only person who can fix it is Mark Davis. And we'll talk about it after the season. Let's keep going.
Hondo, the only joy in my Raiders' heart last week was your interview in the locker room with the mule, Delmar DJ Glaze.
Delmar DJ Glaze, the mule. Love that kid. I just love him. He is just, he's just such a sweet person. Just salt of the earth, wonderful young guy. There's so many. I'm going to tell you this. There are so many great players in that locker room, just human, like Zeus, Zamir White. I love Zeus. They're just, what are you laughing at?
About the inside locker room bet when you were talking about different names. It reminded me of the bet you were telling me about.
Oh, don't bring that up on this.
I'm just laughing.
Okay, but there are so
They're
many.
Funny. They're kids. They're funny.
They're just wonderful kids. I have kids older than most of them. So I just look at them as kids.
Well, it's fun too, because you get to see that fun side of them.
Yeah. What happens is players see a 6'6", 320-pound man with all of his pads, and he makes all this money, and they see larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
I see him as a 23-year-old kid that has the same problems our 23-year-old kids have.
And they're funny as all get out.
And they're just wonderful kids.
Yeah.
They're just wonderful kids. And I remember one time Shannon and I were in a store, and one of the players grabbed me and picked me up. No, we were in a casino.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked me up. And I got to remember, I probably weighed
a lot more than him.
Yeah, I'm down to, what do I weigh now? 226. 226. Okay. And I don't know how much more I weighed, but I weighed a lot more. And he just come over. There were probably 4 or 5 players, and just come over and just picks me up. I mean, wrapped his arm bull hug, and I didn't know who was picking me up. And Shannon looks over and she's freaking out until she saw who it was. And so we get to see that side of him. And so I don't even know how we got on there, but yeah, I appreciate that I love the mule. All right, let's keep going.
Anyways, the rest of that. Thank you for how you treat our Raiders with respect. You seem the best at finding the line between respect and frank honesty. Carlos. Yeah, thank you, Carlos. That's awesome.
I appreciate that, Carlos. That's a really kind word from you. You can deal with it. Years ago, TJ Duckett, many of you remember, he was a first-round running back selection by the Atlanta Falcons, went and played with Michael Vick. I ended up introducing him to my cousin, Wally, who he married. And so, he's part of my family. But I'll never forget, TJ and I, he was playing for the Lions, and he ended up, after he went to Atlanta, he went to Seattle, then he went to Detroit, was his last team. And we were sitting at a deli eating lunch. And, we're good friends. We've done business after he finished his career. I love TJ. And his brother Tico, who was a great running back for the New York Giants. And we were talking about media, and he said, when you're a pro, say whatever you want. I'm getting paid. I know when I'm playing terrible. Just be truthful. And I don't like it when media, I'm going to have a hard take. So I'm not going to say the player, but last year there was a Raider player that some bloggers were really going after. And the guy was playing injured. The Raiders had said to him, you're not going to get injured anymore. We know you're not 100%, but will you please play? He was literally playing hurt. So people who aren't there in the building and don't know, You're
Mhm.
entitled to your opinion, but I'm sweeping you away. And they're getting Raider Nation where, oh, Hondo, you're kissing his butt. No, I just knew he was injured and shouldn't have been playing. And so you get to know them and so you can ask really, really tough questions. And you should.
Mhm.
I remember asking Zeus, he had made a critical mistake and he's not playing right now. And I asked him about it. Didn't mean he don't love the kid. I remember last year, Dylan Labe, who I love. Dylan Labe is one of the greatest kids you ever meet in your entire life. And I said, oh man, the fumble, you haven't been able to get back in. How do you prepare every week? And he and I both knew he wasn't going to play. You got to ask about it.
Yeah.
And when we would turn the camera off, I'd say, hey, your career's not over. You're going to get another chance. Keep your chin up. And what did he do? He kept his chin up. Pete comes in. Now he's playing. You can disagree without being disagreeable.
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
I can point out the things I disagree with Chip, but I like Chip. I can disagree with things that I don't understand. Doesn't mean I out to do them harm.
Right.
All right, let's keep going.
Hondo, I love Pete, but I appreciate you calling out Gino wanting to finish and letting him. It feels like Pete is too loyal. Would you agree, Victor R?
Okay, I'm going to say this to you. That is a great question. Do I think Pete is too loyal? Here is what I think. I don't think they have any confidence in Kenny Pickett because you don't send your quarterback out there injured.
Yeah. Right.
If you have any confidence in the guy behind him.
And he was out there a lot.
I think it was a total statement of we have no confidence in. If I'm listen, I don't dislike. By the way, you all know this. I've known Kenny Pickett since he played at Pittsburgh with Pat.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Kenny Pickett, but I know Kenny Pickett as a kid because Pat Fitzgerald, the coach of Pittsburgh, is one of my best friends. I love Pat. But clearly they don't have any confidence because we're running out a one-legged guy instead of you. If I'm Kenny Pickett and I like him, I hope he's renting in Vegas and didn't buy a house. So if that's not the case, if he has legitimate trust in Kenny Pickett, which I don't believe, by the way, but if he did and he played Gino, too loyal. If he didn't have if he doesn't have confidence in Kenny in that situation, and you don't have confidence in your rookie quarterback, and Aiden wasn't ready, it's kind of what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you want to talk about how poorly Gino played in the second, after the injury, you can, but it's also not fair to bring up he was injured and shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah, that was obvious.
There you go.
But it is what it is. Not football.
Not football. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. Warning, warning, warning. The last question of our podcast when we do it together and answer viewer mail is usually a non-football question. So if you don't want to talk about anything other than football, please turn off the podcast now. But if you continue to listen and you bitch, moan, or complain or whine, it's just because you're a miserable human being because we warned you and we don't care. So please don't do it.
Good. Uncle Hondo and Aunt Shannon, my wife and I have a good marriage, but we watch your podcast faithfully and we want one like you have. We do deeply appreciate each other and God, but is there something you have done to really make what you two have? It is beautiful. Nathan and Becky in Redding, California. This is similar to the last time.
Thank you,
Getting a lot of
Nathan.
these. That's awesome.
Nathan and what?
Becky.
Becky. So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
I would tell you the biggest key to our relationship is we pray together every single day. And in a few weeks, when one of us is on the West Coast and one is on the East Coast, because I'm traveling with the Raiders, and it's 3 hours earlier for one than the other, we still pray together every day on the phone. And to me, that is the most special part of our marriage is our prayer time. I think it makes everything else about us work.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. Now, you may have a completely different. What do you think?
I think that's the most special part, but I think the reason that we have um a good marriage is because we are both committed to Christ and we don't love each other above him.
Hmm.
Um, because if I loved him more than I loved Jesus, he things, I mean, you're married. Your spouse lets you down, they fail you, they make you mad, frustrated, whatever. And
And I fail a lot.
if you don't love Jesus more than him, you're just going to be mad, anger, or whatever. But if you do, you can literally, you just give it to him and say, all right, Lord, you know the situation. If I'm wrong, change my heart. If he's wrong, change my heart anyways, because I want to be always living in a state of forgiveness. I strive every day. I would say I walk in forgiveness, but I don't always show mercy. And that's real. That is something God's been dealing with me on a lot the last few
I would
weeks
have
is
never
mercy.
guessed that. I think I always tell everybody, you're a very merciful person.
I think I am, but I think I could do better. That is something that I feel like I don't always do. But that's who I want to be. And another thing recently that we've been discussing a lot about is um there's a Bible verse that says a gentle answer turns away wrath. Um, and he's the one who brought it up first. But if you both live your life in that way, and there's a difference when it says the Bible says to be slow to speak, slow to anger, but quick to listen. But there's a way to be slow to speak that's not disrespectful or out of anger. You can be slow to speak, but still be loving and kind. And I think it's learning a balance and not using, I don't think that we do this, but you always have to be careful that when you use God's word, you use it correctly,
Not as a
not
weapon.
as a weapon.
Yeah, that's a good point, Shannon. Yeah, that's a really good point. My dad has died and gone on to be with the Lord, but my parents this past week celebrated their 75th wedding anniversary. And my mom is alive. And my dad made a sign that hung in my parents' house. And I don't think it's there anymore since he's died. I think my mom took it down because it just hurt. But it was a sign that my dad made that said, a good marriage is a union of two good forgivers.
Mm, it's super true.
Yeah. If you want to have a great marriage, man, just live in forgiveness. Just
Hmm.
live there. Because trust me, thank God you're not married to me. Because I'm constantly doing something stupid. This, just this morning, Dexter's outfit.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm constantly doing something stupid. And she just lives in forgiveness. And just learn to live there. It's the best place to live.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because then strife doesn't enter in, and strife
Mm.
causes division, and just learn to be a good forgiver. All right, everybody, appreciate you, care about you. We pray for you every day and ask God's blessing on you and your family. See you later.